So if you're watching this, chances are you've seen the Angry Joe Rages at Risen 3 video, which is depressingly enough the most viewed video on YouTube in regards to Risen 3, even beating out Deep Silver's promotional material for the game. Now, I'm not going to get into a lengthy conversation about how Joe obviously didn't even attempt to play the game, because as you can see in an earlier video, I took on the same obstacles he took on, only with a worse weapon, worse gear, no healing items, no companion, no clothing, and on the highest difficulty setting. But as I said, that's neither here nor there. Instead, we're going to talk about the video, and we're going to speculate on why everything was so awful in the video. First of all, I noticed that the video was recorded at a different FPS than he played the game. The end result of that would be that everything looked a lot choppier, which definitely fit in with his complaint about the game having terrible animations, because he didn't even present the animations the way they were supposed to look. Secondly, I noticed the image looked extremely washed out. Now, I'm not sure if this is just a side effect of streaming it on Twitch while recording for a future YouTube Let's Play video, but it seems like, since he's a professional Let's Player, he could somehow manage to keep his picture quality from looking better than watching Beakman's World on your mom's antenna at your parents' house when you were 5 years old, living in the 90s. Yes, I'm a kid of the 90s. And finally, I noticed that he actually hadn't even turned up all the graphics settings for the game, which seems like a fairly odd maneuver for someone with a self-described beast of a computer. So, once again, fairly odd there. Now, why do you think he did all of these things? Well, I have a theory, and it's not a far-reaching conspiracy. I definitely don't think that he's being paid off by EA, who wants to eat Deep Silver for breakfast, but rather, I think he did this to make the game look as bad as possible, because negativity and hyperbole thrive on the internet, especially among his fan base. It's really, really, really easy and enjoyable to watch things that people think are really, really bad and get a lot of humor from that. And so by making the game look as bad as possible, he would increase his view count, increase his subscribers, and of course increase his personal revenue stream. Now, finally, I'm going to talk about two other issues that I had with claims that he made in the game. One of them, which is a bold-faced lie, and the other, which is a bit of a misunderstanding about what the game is trying to do. First off, the lie. At one point, he just flat out said that the starting area, known as the Crab Coast, which is kind of the tutorial area for the game, is a place that you will never ever return to, and yet it's somehow filled with impossibly hard enemies. Well, as I said earlier, it's not filled with impossibly hard enemies. He just didn't know how to approach them. But secondly, that was just a lie, because as you can tell with this very high-level character, I can return to the Crab Coast at any point and complete whatever quests or treasure needed to be had here, and without much problem. So that was just a blatant lie. The second thing that he mentioned wasn't so much of a lie as it was a misunderstanding. Something he kept on referring to throughout the course of his angry video was that the game was horribly imbalanced. Now, to a certain extent, he's right, but he's not right for the reasons that he thinks he is. The game is imbalanced very intentionally because, remember, as I said earlier, this descends from a hardcore RPG lineage. Most notably, the spiritual ancestor of this game, the Gothic series made by Piranha Bytes. Now, if anyone here is watching this video, surely there's someone here who's played the first Gothic, right? Do you remember the first time you took on an orc in that game? It killed you in a single swing, and you thought, oh man, I'll never be able to take on that. And yet you level up your character, become more and more powerful, and then finally enemies that were way, 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 way too hard for you and killed you in a single hit, you were able to demolish fairly easily. And that's really fun to a lot of players. Obviously, Joe would not be one of them, and I think the reason is because he was sort of bred on American interpretations of RPGs like Skyrim and Oblivion, where enemies level with the character, so the game stays at pretty much a consistent level of challenge, never becoming impossibly hard, but also never becoming painfully easy, which admittedly this game does become too easy in the later stretches because all enemies are statically leveled and they don't move with the player, so it's pretty easy for you to become way more powerful than them. So anyways, I don't know. Maybe I'm being too hard on Joe. I mean, it's not like he just, you know, didn't even try, right? I mean, it wasn't like there was a item or a hint maybe at one point during a load screen that said the enemy... Oh, I guess there was. Well, so much for that. Do you have any ideas why?